Commander Vrek stood at the observation deck of the Galactic Coalition training facility, his 4 eyes narrowing at the newest arrival. A human, female, small, fragile-looking. He let out a clicking sound that translated to laughter among his species, the Thorgans. "You cannot be serious," he said, turning to Captain Hallux, who managed the recruitment program. "This is what Earth sends us? This tiny thing?" Captain Hallux, a towering Vrexian with purple-scaled skin and 3 arms, shrugged his middle shoulder. "The paperwork checks out, Commander. Her name is Maya Torres, 26 years old, passed all preliminary tests. The humans insist she is ready." "Ready?" Vrek scoffed. "Ready for what? To be crushed in the first training exercise?" Down below, on the training floor, Maya Torres stood beside 5 other recruits. All of them were massive. There was Grant, a 9-foot-tall Crobian with muscles that looked like they had been carved from stone. Next to him stood Zira, a sleek but deadly Catharian, whose species was known for their bone density that made them nearly indestructible. Then there was Torvin, Bexla, and Crew, each from warrior races that had served in the Coalition forces for generations. And then there was Maya. She stood at 5'6". Her arms looked like twigs compared to Grant's massive limbs. Her frame was slim, almost delicate. She wore the standard recruit uniform, gray and form-fitting, which only made her look more vulnerable next to the others. "I give her 2 days," Vrek muttered. "Maybe 3 if she is lucky." "I will take that bet," Hallux said with a grin that showed his rows of sharp teeth. 20 credits says she lasts a week. Deal. Below, the recruits were being addressed by Sergeant Craw, a battle-hardened Thorgan who had trained thousands of soldiers over his 40-year career. He paced in front of them, his boots making heavy thuds against the metal floor. "Welcome to Hell Week," Craw announced, his voice booming through the cavernous training hall. "For the next 7 days, you will be pushed beyond your limits. You will be tested physically, mentally, and emotionally. Most of you will quit. Some of you will fail. Very few of you will succeed." He stopped in front of Maya, looking down at her with barely concealed amusement. "And some of you," he said slowly, "should not have even bothered showing up." Maya looked up at him, her expression neutral. "Noted, Sergeant." Craw's mandibles twitched. "You have something to say, recruit?" "Just that I am here to train, sir. Not to listen to assumptions about my abilities." Several of the other recruits turned to look at her, their expressions ranging from surprise to amusement. Grant let out a deep rumble that might have been a laugh. Craw leaned down, bringing his face closer to Maya's. "Assumptions? Let me tell you something, little human. I have trained soldiers from 73 different species. Humans are weak. Your bones break easily. Your skin tears like paper. Your muscles are pathetic compared to almost every other species in the Coalition. Those are not assumptions. Those are facts." "Facts based on averages," Maya replied calmly. "Not individuals." "Is that so?" Craw straightened up, a cruel smile forming. "Fine. Let us test your individuality right now. Everyone to the strength assessment station. Now." The recruits jogged over to a section of the training hall where various equipment was set up. There were weights, resistance machines, and what looked like a large mechanical press designed to measure grip strength and crushing force. "We will start simple," Craw announced. "Deadlift test. Each of you will lift the maximum weight you can handle. This gives us a baseline for your training regimen." One by one, the recruits stepped up. Grant went first, hefting an enormous weight bar loaded with plates that would have crushed a small vehicle. He lifted it with a grunt, holding it for the required 5 seconds before dropping it with a thunderous crash. 6,000 pounds, Craw called out, making a note on his datapad. Adequate for a Crobian. Zira went next, managing 4,800 pounds. Torvin hit 5,200. Bexla and crew both cleared 4,000. Then it was Maya's turn. Craw looked at her, then at the weights, then back at her. Standard human maximum is around 900 pounds for trained individuals. Let us see what you can do. The weights were adjusted down, way down. Maya stepped up to the bar, wrapped her small hands around it, and lifted. 920 pounds. She held it steady, then set it down with control. 920, Craw announced, his tone dripping with mockery. Congratulations, human. You are only about 6 times weaker than your fellow recruits. Up in the observation deck, Rek laughed. This is embarrassing. Why did Earth even send her? Halux frowned, studying Maya through the viewing screen. Did you notice something, though? Notice what? That she is pathetically weak? No. Look at her form. Perfect technique. And she did not strain. At all. Rek waved a dismissive hand. So she knows how to lift properly. That does not change the fact that she barely managed 1,000 pounds while Grant lifted 6 times that amount. Down below, the training continued. The recruits were put through a series of exercises, running, climbing, combat drills. Each time, Maya performed adequately, but nothing spectacular. She kept up, but she was always last. Her strikes in hand-to-hand combat were fast, but lacked the devastating power of the others. By the end of the first day, she was covered in sweat and breathing hard. The other recruits looked tired but confident. Maya just looked determined. Day 1 complete, Craw announced. Tomorrow we increase the difficulty. Those of you who cannot handle it are free to quit now and save yourselves the humiliation. His eyes lingered on Maya. She stared back, saying nothing. That night, in the barracks, the recruits gathered in the common area. Maya sat alone in a corner, studying a datapad with information about coalition combat techniques. Grant approached, his massive frame blocking the light. Hey, human. Maya looked up. Maya, my name is Maya. Right, Maya. He sat down, the chair groaning under his weight. Why are you here? Same reason as everyone else, to become a coalition soldier. No, I mean, why are you really here? Grant leaned forward. You have to know you do not stand a chance. You are tough. I will give you that. You kept up today when most humans would have collapsed. But tough is not enough. This is not about effort. It is about capability. And you simply do not have the physical capability. Maya closed her datapad. You are probably right. Grant blinked, surprised. So you admit it? I admit that by standard metrics, I am weaker than everyone here. But strength is not everything. In combat, it is. Is it, though? Maya tilted her head. Tell me something, Grant. Have you ever fought a human? No, never had reason to. Then you do not know what we are capable of. I know your species specifications, Grant said. Average bone density, moderate muscle composition, relatively weak grip strength. These are documented facts. Average, Maya repeated. That word keeps coming up. Before Grant could respond, Zira approached. Leave her alone, Grant. If she wants to humiliate herself, let her. I am not trying to humiliate anyone, Grant protested. I just do not want to see her get hurt. Tomorrow they start weapons training and sparring. She could get seriously injured. I appreciate the concern, Maya said, standing up. But I will be fine. She walked away, leaving the two aliens exchanging confused glances. The next morning, Sergeant Craw gathered the recruits in the armory. The walls were lined with weapons from dozens of different worlds: plasma rifles, shock batons, molecular blades, and traditional projectile weapons. Today, you learn to fight with tools, Craw announced. First, hand-to-hand weapons, then ranged combat. You will spar with training weapons that deliver a shock instead of lethal damage. If you cannot defend yourself, you will learn very quickly. He picked up a training staff, its ends glowing with blue energy. These are set to level 3. Enough to hurt, not enough to cause permanent damage, usually. The recruits were paired off. Grant with Torvin, Zira with Bexla, Crew with Maya. Crew was a Helvarian, a species known for their speed and precision. He stood about 7 feet tall, thin and angular, with elongated limbs that gave him incredible reach. He looked at Maya and smiled, showing needle-like teeth. "Try not to cry, little human," he said, twirling his training staff with practiced ease. Maya picked up her staff, testing its weight. No promises. They took their positions in the sparring ring. Craw raised his hand. "Fight until submission or incapacitation. Begin." Crew moved like lightning. His staff came down in a blur, aimed at Maya's shoulder. She barely managed to raise her own weapon to block. The impact sent vibrations through her arms. He struck again and again. Each blow was precise, calculated, testing her defenses. Maya backpedaled, blocking and dodging, but it was clear she was outmatched. Crew's reach was too great. His speed was too much. "Is this all humans can do?" Crew taunted, pressing his advantage. "Block and retreat?" Maya said nothing. She kept moving, kept defending, her eyes tracking every movement. Crew lunged forward with a thrust aimed at her midsection. Maya twisted sideways, the staff missing her by inches. She used the momentum to spin, bringing her own staff around in a wide arc. Crew easily blocked it, but something in his expression changed. "Interesting technique, but you still lack power." He swept low, trying to knock her legs out from under her. Maya jumped, but not quite high enough. The staff caught her ankle, sending her sprawling to the ground. The watching recruits winced. Up in the observation deck, Rek shook his head. This is painful to watch." But Hallux was leaning forward, his eyes focused. "Wait!" Down in the ring, Crew stood over Maya, his staff pointed at her chest. "Yield!" Maya looked up at him, breathing hard. Then she smiled. "Not yet." She rolled backward, faster than anyone expected, and sprang to her feet. Before Crew could react, she closed the distance between them, getting inside his reach where his long limbs became a disadvantage. She struck low, hitting his knee, then high, clipping his shoulder, then center mass, driving the staff into his ribs. None of the hits were powerful enough to do serious damage, but they were fast, incredibly fast. Crew tried to create space, but Maya stayed on him, her smaller size allowing her to maneuver in ways his longer frame could not match. Finally, she swept his legs, dropping him to the ground, and placed her staff against his throat. "Yield," she said quietly. Crew stared up at her in shock. Then slowly, he tapped the ground twice. Submission. The training hall went silent. Sergeant Craw walked over, his expression unreadable. "Interesting." Again. They reset. This time Crew was not toying around. He came at Maya with full intensity from the start, but now that she understood his patterns, she was ready. She used his strength against him, redirecting rather than blocking directly. She stayed close, eliminating his reach advantage. She was faster, more agile, and far more strategic than anyone had given her credit for. The second match ended the same way. Maya standing, Crew on the ground. "Enough," Craw said. He looked at Maya with something that might have been respect or suspicion. "How did you do that?" "Technique over strength," Maya said simply. "Leverage over power, speed over force." "Those are principles," Craw said, "but principles do not change physics. Crew outweighs you by 200 pounds. He has 4 times your reach. By all logic, you should have been demolished." Maya shrugged. "Maybe your logic does not account for human adaptability." Up in the observation deck, Hallux was grinning. "Well, well, seems your easy credits are about to become mine, Commander." Rek grunted. "One victory, against a mid-tier opponent. Let us see how she does against real power." As if reading his thoughts, Craw called out, "Grant, you are up next! Face the human!" Grant stepped forward, looking uncomfortable. "Sergeant, I do not think this is a good idea. I might actually hurt her." "Then she should quit now," Craw said coldly. "Take your position." Grant reluctantly picked up a training staff. It looked like a toothpick in his massive hands. Maya stood across from him, staff ready, her expression calm. "Maya, I do not want to hurt you," Grant said quietly. "Then do not hold back," she replied. "I would hate to think I beat you because you were going easy on me." Something flickered in Grant's eyes. Challenge accepted. The signal was given. Grant moved with surprising speed for his size. His first strike came down like a hammer. Maya dodged, but the force of his swing created a gust of wind that staggered her. She quickly realized that her previous tactics would not work here. Getting close to Grant was not an advantage. It was suicide. She needed a different approach. Grant swung again. Maya rolled under the strike, came up behind him, and jabbed at the back of his knee. The training staff connected, delivering its shock. Grant barely flinched. "That tickled," he rumbled, spinning faster than she anticipated. She ducked, feeling the staff pass inches above her head. Too close. Her heart hammered in her chest as she created distance, her mind racing through options. Grant was too strong to confront directly, too large to grapple, too durable to wear down with small hits. She needed a decisive strike. But where? How? Grant charged. His massive frame bore down on her like an avalanche. Maya waited until the last possible second, then dropped to the ground and rolled between his legs. As she came up behind him, she struck at the base of his spine with everything she had. The shock hit. Grant roared, stumbling forward. His legs buckled slightly. There. That was the weak point, where the nerves clustered, where even his thick hide could not fully protect him. She struck again. Same spot. Harder this time. Grant went down to one knee. The entire training hall held its breath. Maya moved around to face him, her staff poised. "Yield?" Grant looked up at her, shock evident in his eyes. Then slowly, almost reverently, he tapped the ground twice. Submission. The silence in the training hall was deafening. No one moved. No one spoke. They all just stared at the small human woman who had just brought down the largest, strongest member of their recruit class. Finally, Sergeant Craw spoke. "How?" His voice was barely above a whisper. How did you know where to strike? Maya lowered her staff. I have been watching you all train for 2 days. I have seen where everyone favors guarding, where they leave openings. Everyone has weaknesses. You just have to be patient enough to find them. But Grant's hide is nearly impenetrable, Craw insisted. Even a direct plasma shot barely phases his kind. Nearly impenetrable is not the same as completely impenetrable, Maya said. And nerve clusters are nerve clusters, regardless of species. Hit them right and size does not matter. Craw stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the room. He smiled, a real, genuine smile. Maybe Earth knew what they were doing after all, he said. Dismissed. Everyone rest. Tomorrow we test endurance. As the recruits filed out, Grant approached Maya. That was incredible. I have never been taken down like that. You were pulling your punches, Maya said. If you had really tried to hit me, I would be in the medical bay right now. Maybe, Grant admitted, but you still won, fair and square. I will not underestimate you again. That evening, the mood in the barracks was different. The other recruits no longer ignored Maya. Instead, they asked her questions, wanted to know her techniques, sought her advice. Maya answered patiently, demonstrating holds and strikes, explaining angles and leverage points. She was generous with her knowledge, never condescending, always respectful. High above, in the observation deck, Commander Rek watched through the monitors. His expression was thoughtful. She is not what I expected, he admitted. Few humans are, Halux replied. That is what makes them dangerous. Dangerous? She is still physically weaker than almost everyone here. For now, Halux said cryptically. But I have heard things about humans, stories from the border worlds, about what they can do when pushed to their absolute limits, about how their bodies adapt in ways that defy conventional biology. Stories, Rex scoffed, but there was less conviction in his voice now. Wait until the armor trials, Halux said. That is when things get really interesting. Rek did not respond. He just watched the small human woman on the screen, teaching a 9-foot-tall warrior how to fight smarter instead of harder, and wondered what the next day would bring. Day 3 brought the endurance trials, 20 miles through rough terrain, wearing full combat gear. The recruits set out at dawn, their boots crunching against the rocky ground of the simulation field. By mile 5, Bexla had dropped out, her respiratory system unable to handle the thin atmosphere the facility had programmed. By mile 10, Torvin was lagging badly, his heavy frame working against him. By mile 15, only 4 remained at the front of the pack: Grant, Zira, Crew, and Maya. The human is still going, Rek observed from the command center. I admit, that is surprising. Humans are endurance hunters, Halux explained, pulling up data on his screen. Back on their homeworld, they used to chase prey for hours until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Their bodies are designed for sustained effort, not explosive power. Fascinating, Rek muttered, watching Maya maintain her steady pace. But endurance will not help her in the armor trials tomorrow. Halux's expression turned serious. About that, I have been reviewing the records from the last armor trial. 3 recruits were hospitalized. 1 died. The Valtorian. Yes, I remember. His physiology could not handle the neural interface feedback. The armor is designed for maximum durability, Halux continued. It enhances strength by a factor of 10, but it also requires immense physical resilience to control properly. The feedback strain alone can break bones if the wearer is not strong enough. Then the human will fail, Rek said simply. She may be clever and persistent, but she lacks the raw physical power to control a coalition combat suit. Maybe, Hallux said, but he did not sound convinced. Down on the course, Maya crossed the 20-mile marker in 4th place, just behind Crew. She was drenched in sweat, her legs shaking, but she had finished. Grant came in first, barely winded. Zira took second, looking tired but satisfied. Crew was third, and then Maya. Sergeant Craw waited at the finish line with water containers. Not bad, Torres. You kept pace with some of the best endurance runners in the coalition. Maya took the water gratefully, drinking deeply. Thank you, Sergeant. Do not thank me yet, Craw said, his tone darkening. Tomorrow is the armor trial. That is where most humans fail. The ones who even make it that far. I will be ready, Maya said quietly. Will you? Craw leaned in close. The armor weighs 800 pounds unpowered. Once activated, it amplifies your strength, but it also amplifies every weakness in your body. If your bones are not dense enough, they will fracture under the strain. If your muscles are not developed enough, they will tear. If your nervous system cannot handle the feedback, you will seize up and possibly die. Are you truly ready for that? Maya met his gaze steadily. I did not come here to quit at the final test, Sergeant. Craw studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Good. Get some rest. You will need it. That night, Maya sat alone in the equipment bay, studying the combat armor on display. It was a massive thing, all angles and reinforced plating, standing nearly 8 feet tall. The helmet alone probably weighed 50 pounds. Impressive, is it not? A voice said behind her. She turned to find an older alien she had not seen before. He was short, maybe 4 feet tall, with gray skin and large, intelligent eyes. His species was unfamiliar to her. It is intimidating, Maya admitted. My name is Professor Linth. I designed these suits. He walked up to stand beside her, gazing at the armor with something like parental pride. Each one is a masterpiece of engineering. Molecular compression fields, neural synaptic interfaces, adaptive defensive plating. They can withstand plasma cannon fire and enhance the wearer's strength by a magnitude of 10. That is incredible, Maya said. But Sergeant Craw said they can also kill the wearer. Ah, yes, the unfortunate reality. Linth sighed. The armor bonds with the nervous system to provide instantaneous response time. But this bonding creates immense strain. Think of it like this. Your body sends a signal to move your arm. Normally, this is a tiny electrical impulse. But the armor intercepts that signal, amplifies it, and uses it to move several hundred pounds of metal. The feedback from that amplification returns to your body. If your body cannot handle it, well, the results are catastrophic. Has a human ever successfully worn one? Maya asked. Linth paused. 3 have tried. 1 managed to activate it for 17 seconds before collapsing. The other 2 failed immediately. Their bodies simply could not handle the strain. What happened to them? They survived, but with severe injuries, broken ribs, torn ligaments, neural damage. They were medically discharged. Linth looked at her seriously. I say this not to discourage you, but to prepare you. If you feel the armor overwhelming you, disengage immediately. Pride is not worth permanent injury or death. I understand, Maya said, but I have to try. Why? Linth asked curiously. You have already proven yourself in combat. You have shown remarkable tactical ability. You could serve the Coalition in other capacities. Why risk everything on the armor trial? Maya was quiet for a moment. Because my planet is counting on me. Earth joined the coalition only 5 years ago. We are the newcomers, the unknowns, the species everyone thinks is weak. If I quit now, it reinforces every stereotype they have about us. But if I succeed, I show them that humans belong here, that we are more than they assume. Linth nodded slowly. A heavy burden for one person to carry. Maybe, Maya smiled. But humans are good at carrying heavy burdens. It is kind of our thing. The next morning, the entire facility gathered in the main arena. Word had spread about the human recruit who had defeated Grant and completed the endurance trial. Now everyone wanted to see if she could survive the armor. The 6 recruits who remained, Maya, Grant, Zira, Crew, Torvin, and Rexla, a late addition who had transferred in, stood in a line before 6 sets of armor. Each suit was tailored to the recruit's species, adjusted for size and physiological requirements. Commander Rek stood on the observation platform, addressing the crowd. The armor trial is the final test. Not all of you will pass. Some of you may be injured. If at any point you feel overwhelmed, disengage immediately. There is no shame in recognizing your limits. His eyes lingered on Maya. You will have 5 minutes, Rek continued. Activate the armor, complete the obstacle course, and return here. The course includes strength tests, agility tests, and combat simulations. Those who complete it will graduate to active duty. Those who fail will be reassigned. Begin when ready. Grant stepped up to his armor first. The massive suit opened like a mechanical flower, revealing the neural interface chair inside. He climbed in, settled himself, and the armor closed around him. There was a moment of stillness, then a deep hum as the suit powered up. Grant stood, now nearly 10 feet tall, encased in gleaming metal. He took a step, then another. Then he broke into a run, his enhanced strength launching him toward the obstacle course. He cleared obstacles that would have stopped a tank, moved with impossible speed for something so large, and completed the course in 3 minutes flat. The crowd erupted in cheers. Zira went next, her armor sleeker and more agile. She completed the course in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Then Crew, then Torvin, then Rexla. All successful, though Torvin struggled near the end, his movements becoming jerky as the neural strain built up. Then it was Maya's turn. The arena fell silent as she approached her armor. It was smaller than the others, but still massive compared to her frame. The suit opened, revealing the interface seat. Maya climbed in, her heart pounding. The armor closed around her. Darkness. Then lights flickered on inside the helmet, displays and readouts appearing. She felt the neural connectors touch her spine, her neck, her skull. There was a sharp pain, like needles driving into her nervous system. The suit began to hum, power flowing through circuits. Maya tried to move her arm. The armor responded, but slowly, sluggishly. She could feel the weight of it, the resistance. This was not enhancement. This was prison. Torres, are you functional? Sergeant Craw's voice came through the helmet speakers. I am trying, Maya gasped. The feedback was intense. Every movement she attempted sent pain shooting through her nervous system. Her muscles screamed in protest. Disengage if you need to, Craw said. There is no shame in it. Up in the observation deck, Rek crossed his arms. She cannot do it. The suit is too much for her physiology. But Hallux was leaning forward, his eyes wide. "Wait, look at her readings." On the monitor, Maya's vital signs were spiking. Heart rate climbing, neural activity off the charts. But something else was happening too. Her body was adapting. The pain signals were decreasing. The resistance in the armor was lessening. Inside the suit, Maya closed her eyes and focused. She remembered her training on Earth, the enhanced conditioning program, the genetic treatments, the things they had not told the Coalition about because the technology was still experimental. Humans were not naturally as strong as other species, but humans were adaptable. Incredibly, impossibly adaptable. Their bodies could change, evolve, overcome. And Maya had been specifically chosen because her genetic profile showed the highest capacity for rapid physical adaptation. She felt something shift inside her. Her muscles began to burn, not with pain, but with energy. Her bones felt denser, harder. Her nervous system synchronized with the armor's interface, no longer fighting it, but accepting it, becoming part of it. Maya opened her eyes. The armor suddenly felt light, responsive, natural. She took a step. Perfect control. Another step. Even better. She looked down at her hands, flexed the armored fingers. They moved like her own hands. No lag. No resistance. "Torres, what is your status?" Craw asked urgently. "Operational," Maya said, and her voice was steady. "Beginning the course now." She moved. Fast. Faster than any of the other recruits had moved. She hit the first obstacle, a wall designed to test climbing ability. Instead of climbing it, she punched through it. Her armored fist shattered the reinforced concrete like it was paper. The crowd gasped. Maya continued, not slowing. The next obstacle was a series of barriers meant to be vaulted over. She ran straight through them, her enhanced strength demolishing everything in her path. The combat drones that activated to simulate enemies were torn apart before they could even fire. The strength test, lifting a 10-ton weight, she completed with one hand. In the observation deck, Rek stood frozen, his mouth hanging open. "That is impossible. Those obstacles are rated for Armor Class 5. She is demolishing them like they are nothing." "Her power output is 3 times higher than Grant's was," Hallux said, reading the monitors with disbelief. 3 times? How is that possible?" Professor Linnat had joined them, his eyes glued to the readings. "The human body. I did not account for this. They are not just wearing the armor. They are bonding with it on a cellular level. Her muscles are restructuring in real time. Her bone density is increasing. Her neural pathways are rewiring themselves to handle the feedback. She is evolving as we watch." "That violates every known principle of biology," Rek protested. "Human biology," Linth corrected, "which apparently operates by different rules than we thought." Down in the arena, Maya reached the final test, a combat simulation against a fully armed training bot. It was programmed to fight at lethal intensity, only stopping when its opponent was incapacitated. The bot activated, its weapons charging. It fired a plasma bolt directly at Maya's chest. She did not dodge. The bolt hit her armor dead center and dissipated harmlessly against the shielding. Maya walked forward. The bot fired again and again. Each shot was absorbed or deflected. When she was close enough, she reached out and grabbed the bot's arm. With a casual twist, she tore the limb clean off. The bot attempted to retreat, but Maya was faster. She grabbed its torso with both hands. The crowd watched in stunned silence as she began to pull. Metal groaned, rivets popped. The bot's frame began to bend. "She is going to tear it apart," someone whispered. And she did. With a final, devastating pull, Maya ripped the combat bot in half. Sparks flew. Circuits exploded. The two halves of the bot fell to the ground, smoking and ruined. Maya stood there, breathing hard, her armor gleaming under the arena lights. Then she calmly walked back to the starting point, her movements controlled and precise. She stepped out of the armor, and it powered down behind her. She looked completely normal. No visible injuries, no signs of strain. Just a slight sheen of sweat on her forehead. The arena was dead silent for a long moment. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the entire crowd erupted into cheers and applause that shook the rafters. Commander Rek slowly descended from the observation deck. He walked across the arena floor, the crowd parting before him until he stood face to face with Maya. "Recruit Torres," he said formally. "In 20 years of running this facility, I have never seen anything like what you just did. You did not just pass the armor trial. You exceeded every performance metric we have ever recorded. You destroyed equipment rated to withstand orbital bombardment. With your bare hands." Maya stood at attention. "Yes, sir." "I owe you an apology," Rek continued. "I judged you based on preconceptions about your species. I assumed you were weak because humans are generally weaker than other coalition members. I was wrong, profoundly wrong." "Sir, may I speak freely?" Maya asked. "Please." "You were not entirely wrong, sir. Humans are weaker than most species. By average measurements, we should not be able to compete. But humans have something else. We adapt. We overcome. We refuse to accept limitations. You did not see weakness today, sir. You saw what happens when a human decides that failure is not an option." Rex studied her for a long moment, then extended his hand, a human gesture he had learned. Maya shook it, her grip firm but not crushing. "Welcome to the Coalition Defense Force, Soldier Torres," Rex said. "You have earned your place here." That evening, the graduates celebrated in the common area. There were 6 of them, all having passed the trials, but everyone wanted to talk to Maya, to congratulate her, to ask her questions. Grant raised a glass of whatever his species drank. "A toast to Maya Torres, who taught us that strength comes in many forms." "To Maya," the others echoed, raising their own glasses. Maya smiled, raising her water. "To all of us. We made it." Later, Professor Linth found her on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "Incredible performance today," he said. "Thank you, Professor. Your armor design is amazing." "I cannot take all the credit. The armor is only as good as the person wearing it." He paused. "I have a question, if you do not mind." "Go ahead. What did it feel like when you bonded with the armor?" Maya thought about it. "Like waking up. Like I had been asleep my whole life, and suddenly I was fully conscious. Every nerve, every muscle, every cell was alive and connected. It felt like becoming more than human, like becoming what humans were always meant to be." Linth nodded thoughtfully. "Earth has been hiding something. The extent of human adaptability, the potential for enhancement. You were not just a recruit. You were a test subject, were you not?" Maya did not deny it. "The enhancement program is classified. But yes, Earth wanted to know if humans could truly compete with other species. If we could be more than the weak newcomers everyone thinks we are." I volunteered to find out. And now you have your answer. Now we all do, Maya said, looking out at the infinite expanse of space. Humans belong here, among the stars, fighting alongside the coalition. We may be weaker on paper, but we have something else. Heart, determination, the refusal to quit, and apparently, the ability to evolve in ways that defy conventional science. A dangerous combination, Linth observed. For our enemies, Maya agreed, but for our allies, we will be invaluable. In the command center, Commander Vrek was filing his report to Coalition headquarters. He paused at the assessment section, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Finally, he typed, "Previous assessments of human combat potential require immediate revision. Recommend fast-tracking additional human recruits. Request authorization to establish specialized human training program. Reason: species demonstrates unprecedented adaptive capability and combat effectiveness. Initial classification: humans should be reclassified from support species to frontline combatants. End report." He sent the message, then leaned back in his chair. Halux entered the room carrying 2 drinks. "You owe me 20 credits, he said, handing one to Rek. "I owe you a lot more than that," Rek admitted. "I owe you an acknowledgement that I was completely wrong about humans." "They mocked the human's weak body," Halux said with a grin, "then watched her shatter armor with bare hands. I think that will be a lesson the Coalition remembers for a long time." Rek took a sip of his drink. "A new era is beginning. Humans are about to change everything we thought we knew about warfare." "Good," Halux said. "We need the change. The universe is a dangerous place. And now we have humans watching our backs." They stood together, looking out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, more humans were preparing to join the Coalition, each one carrying that same stubborn refusal to quit, that same capacity to adapt and overcome. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. It would not make that mistake again. Maya Torres stood in her new quarters, looking at the uniform hanging on the wall. Coalition Defense Force. She had earned it. Not through raw strength, but through determination, intelligence, and the uniquely human trait of adaptability. Tomorrow, she would ship out to her first assignment. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. But tonight, she allowed herself a moment of pride. She had proven that humans belonged among the stars, that they could stand shoulder to shoulder with species far stronger and more advanced. She smiled, remembering the look on Commander Rek's face when she had torn that combat bot in half. That was the moment everything changed, the moment the galaxy realized that humans were not weak. They were warriors, and they were just getting started. Outside her window, the stars beckoned. Infinite possibilities stretched across the cosmos, and humanity was ready to meet them all.